Hi, this is Matt from the Green Beret Life. I'm here by myself again tonight. I will have a guest on tonight. I will have Dan and Cindy, who I've had on before. We're having a few technical difficulties, and we may continue to have some of these technical difficulties. They're trying a different phone in order to log in. We are the Green Beret Life. I do this every time. We are a 501c3. We do training of all sorts. All sort of pistol, rifle, shotgun. We do situational awareness. We do CCW. We do military readiness programs for people that are ready to go into the military and want some hard skills before they get in, and also want some mindset type skills before they get in as well. We also do survival and land navigation. If you have an idea and you got a group of people together, you want Chris and I to come to you. We can do that. Just get a hold of us at info@ the Green Beret Life. Actually, at the Green Beret Life at gmail.com. The Green Beret Life at gmail.com. That's how you can get a hold of us. You can go and check out our website at thegreenberetlife.com on the internet. And beyond that, that's who we are. Chris is gone again. He should be back. He may be back next Thursday. I am not 100% sure. Hopefully he will be, and we'll get back to normal. But we're going to have an interesting night for you tonight, I believe. Bringing Dan and Cindy on. We've had them on before. We can get these problems figured out and talk about a whole slew of issues. There's so many things that happened this week, between the farce that happened down in Texas with Ken Paxton to the ongoing farce that's going on with President Trump. And we've also now seen a few attacks come out at people who have sort of seen the light and pushed back against the establishment. And I am talking about Russell Brand and also Mr. Ballard, who was involved with the movie Sounds of Freedom. They're going after him too. One positive in all of it, there's some pushback on this, and I don't think people are just buying it. But what's real interesting is what happened with some of the big powers that be, i.e. Great Britain. And we'll get into that a little bit. Dan and Cindy are trying to get in right now. I am adding them. Let's see if this works. Can you hear me?
I can hear you great this
Dan,
time, brother. How you doing, buddy?
Okay. What was it your phone issue?
Actually,
is that what it was?
I have not had a problem in the past using DuckDuckGo, but I switched to Chrome, and here we are.
There's your problem. Why would you switch to Chrome? Why would you switch to Chrome over Firefox? Is that what you're trying to say?
I was using DuckDuckGo.
Well, DuckDuckGo is a search engine.
Right.
Yeah.
As my search
and
engine.
Chrome is sort of an operating, a browser.
Yeah, I've always been able to do with you and Chris in the past, or Austin or whoever, Cindy. We've always whatever. We're here now. DuckDuckGo has worked.
Yeah, DuckDuckGo is fine. It's just Google is a mess. So, anyways, I started. I was talking about what we were going to talk about on tonight's show. I was telling everybody that Dan and Cindy were going to be here. Is Cindy there?
She is. She's off for a moment, but she'll be right next to me here in just a second, or I'll go in there and fix things right.
Yeah. I started talking about, the mess down in Texas with Ken Paxton, and I was also talking about what they're doing to Russell Brand, and is his name Tim Ballard or Tom Ballard? I think it's Tim Ballard. The deep state hit on these two guys because Russell Brand has gone off the reservation, right? And he's now talking about things to a massive audience that people don't want him talking about. So it's very, very funny. I tonight, this evening, Dan, I watched the the interview that Tucker Carlson did with Ken Paxton, and my goodness, okay, now we're starting to see that this whole thing started, okay, with the Biden administration and the DOJ, right? But how closely this whole thing parallels to what they're doing to Donald Trump, what they did to Ken Paxton down there in Texas. It is unfreaking believable how it just mirrors itself so much. And one of the things that I think people are starting to wake up to, but I think we need to wake up a little faster, because this DOJ is absolutely an absolute disgrace. And it's more than just a disgrace. The danger they are presenting to our country is unbelievable, is absolutely unbelievable. That there are well, what's even more disgusting is you're now starting to see, they've always wanted us to think that this is a red and blue thing, okay? And now it's so painfully clear. It is so painfully clear that the establishment Republicans are so much a part of all that is wrong with our country, as are the establishment Democrats. They are the same people. We say it all the time: uniparty, uniparty, uniparty. But I encourage everybody to watch the interview Tucker Carlson did with Ken Paxton, okay? Because when you hear, did you watch it last night?
I did.
Good,
I missed
because
it somehow.
well, you need to watch it, because when you hear how things were run against Ken Paxton. Now you got to go back a little bit. That's the largest AG department in the whole country, Texas, right? And he was massively elected. The Bushes ran against him. George P. Bush, right, ran against him. And is that his name, George P. Bush, the one who ran against Paxton in Texas?
That sounds correct, but I can't say yes. 100%.
It's one of these dipshit Bushes. Period. Okay.
They're all dipshits, man.
Yeah, they're all dipshits. The way he broke it down, it was very interesting, because everybody thought it was the Bushes. This was a Bush-generated issue. And he said, here's the story. He said, I had brought over 43 lawsuits against the Biden administration and their DOJ, and I was winning at a rate of 77%. Okay, maybe it was 48. Okay, but he was winning at a rate of 77%. Okay,
Yeah.
This came from the Biden administration, and Tucker's like, well, how the hell would the Biden administration have sway over a Republican-held House and a Republican-held Senate? And he said, okay, I want to back up a little bit here and say the Senate isn't really the problem. It's the House that's the problem. And he says, how so? And he says, here's how. There are 65 Democrats in the Texas House, okay? These 65 Democrats vote in one block. There is never any deviation from that block. Because they vote in that block, they hold a ton of power. So if they want to get something done in the House, all they've got to do is get 10 Rhino Republicans to go along with it.
Yeah.
Yep. So because they have that much power, well, there's more to this, Dan. Hold on. Because they have that much power, they actually determine who the Speaker of the Texas House is. The Democrats, because they vote in that block. It's not the Republicans. So what they do is they put this out, okay, who's going to give us what we want, and that's sort of who they pick. And that's why you get these rhinos that are in charge. And and Tucker asked him, how long has this been going on? He said, over 16 years it's been like this. Over 16 years.
That's
so
what I was going to say to
the
you.
real,
it's not hard to find a soft Republican to jump the line, It's ridiculous.
No, because there's real parallels that came up in this interview with Georgia. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And now when you listen to him talk, you know exactly why they went after him. Okay. Because those lawsuits and all of that, right? He basically stated that these individuals, there is a super PAC down there called like the Texans for Legal Reform. Okay, the Texans for Legal Reform. So it's owned by a big builder in the state of Texas, and it's considered a Republican super PAC, right? It's not a Republican super PAC, although all their donations go to the Republican Party. It's to get the right Republicans in the Republican Party there, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what the real issue for this guy is that owns this construction company, that owns this super PAC? Cheap labor. They want unfettered, illegal immigration. That's what it is all about.
Yeah,
okay?
he's a huge home builder and developer. He's part of the Weekly family.
Okay.
I can't remember the guy's first name, but David Weekly is a huge nationwide home builder out of Texas, and they were super big here in the Atlanta area for a long time. And yeah, the labor, you're right. I mean, you can't. You know my background building houses. You can't find regular old Americans that want to do the work. And
No,
quite honestly, they've all been kind of segregated
themselves. It may not be that it back up. It may not be that they don't want to do the work. It's that they've destroyed the work and they've destroyed the pay for the work because they now make it undesirable to go and do those types of jobs, especially when you can sit on ass and collect unemployment and not do a damn thing. So what they'll do is they'll bring in there's more. Let me finish this point. They'll bring in the illegals, okay? And then they'll work, the state or whoever will work with these big organizations that will hire the illegals and they'll pay them a fraction, okay, of what you would normally pay. Maybe they're paying a minimum wage, we don't know. But then the state comes in with benefits, welfare benefits, housing benefits, food benefits, phone benefits, health care benefits, education benefits, the whole 9 yards, and then they make up the difference with your taxpayer money to hire illegals over Americans. It's done over and over and over again. This is how it is done. And I mean, I don't have 100% proof that they're doing this everywhere. This is me putting things together, okay? But it is some form of what we're discussing here in the way they get this whole thing done. Now, I do want to mention we are on YouTube right now, okay? And we're going to get right into this subject. And as we know, I do want to cover the Russell Brand thing real quick while we're still on YouTube, right? And we're going to get back to this Ken Paxton thing because it's so convoluted and it parallels Trump by so much. And I really want to talk with the dirty tricks that they did and what they did to Ken Paxton to try to destroy him. And let me tell you something. Anybody that values anything that Karl Rove has to say, Karl Rove is a pile of trash, an absolute pile of trash. He's not for America. He's not even a Republican. Okay? He is an absolute mess. Here we go with the, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Because my screen is black with the surface of death.
You
can hear me? Good.
You look great.
You got a tan hat?
Okay, at least we have audio. Okay. Yeah.
I was going to back you up from a different angle on the labor issue. And you're exactly right, and I agree with you. It's not that regular Americans won't do the work, but they don't possess the skills anymore. Shop classes have been killed in high school, and they don't know how to do the trade jobs. And yes, the foreigners will come and work for less money, but they already have generational training. I mean, they've worked in their home companies doing their trade, so they come up here and they can slide right in to they kind of self-segregate themselves. But all my subcontractors, the Korean people were always the HVAC AC people. Tile and stonework was predominantly Brazilian, and then framing and brickwork and just about every other trade were essentially South. I mean, Latino, full-on Latino trades. And to be honest, at the work they're doing, they're not bad. I mean, you can't find a brick mason or a stone mason anymore that can construct an old school fireplace that will draw and work. I mean, because everything has been, you can buy,
Mhm.
heck, you and I have been shopping at the big box stores. You can buy just about anything you want to put in your house in a box, and it's got cheap metal parts that, you run it through the side of your building for your little fireplace unit, and you just need an exhaust pipe and, some power to it. But largely, I mean, my son, he got into the industry and he can do some things, but he's few and far between. And like you say, when you can get paid to do nothing, well,
Mhm.
where's the rocket surgery in that? It's obvious, you know?
Mhm.
You still there? Your
Yeah,
screen.
and that is a good point that we have sort of. Yeah. Can you hear me right now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
your glitching
Yeah,
screen
I mean, it's a flip. Yeah, it's a flip of the coin with this technology right now. Everybody I'm up here in northern Wisconsin. Everybody in this town right now is saying there's something weird going on with the cellular service. I have cellular internet out of here, which worked great. Then it didn't work at all. Now it's starting to work again, and it's just glitchy. So
you want to know
it's
something?
unfortunately.
I heard on another podcast, Bongino, we could talk about, Dan. We are
Mhm.
experiencing an extraordinarily high level of solar activity right now with flares, and
Mhm.
they're saying
Uh-huh.
hey, maybe this is an excuse for something nefarious and bigger, but he was even saying that they're already predicting localized areas of GPS going down, not being accurate. Might appear you're following it, but it's not going to be accurate to your time to distance.
Well,
And
I've heard because most people are having glitches. I've heard reports of people having glitches with cell phone communications across the country.
Mhm.
And I've also heard a theory. I don't know how true this is. It's just a theory that I've heard that there are some pre-attacks on Taiwanese servers via China, right? And these servers are so big and everything is so connected around the world today that it's causing issues that ripple out to other parts of the world, right? So who knows if that's true? It certainly plugs in with everything that is going on, but we
Right.
don't know if that's true or not.
It does not sound like it's not plausible for sure.
Mhm. One of the things I did want to touch on here before we get off of YouTube, just because, it's not that I don't want to be on YouTube, Dan. It's that I've got to watch what I say. I've got to watch
Yeah.
what you say, everything else,
So
because they'll come in and it changes every day. So, but I do want to touch upon this just to highlight that a little bit. And this is why I wanted to get to the Russell Brand story. Russell Brand, if people out there aren't familiar with Russell Brand was he's British, a big comedian actor who has a history of being pretty left wing. Okay. Over the last couple years, he started doing a podcast and he's had a bit of an awakening, right? And he's looking at things and he's now realizing that it isn't really a right and left thing, but it's more of an establishment deep state thing, right? And it's a connection with big global business, like certain industries that I don't want to mention right now. Okay, two in particular, right? And you can think, one of them is based around Northern Virginia, Washington D.C., and the other one is global, right? But
mhm.
um, he's generated quite a following. It started on YouTube. YouTube started playing with him, giving him strikes and whatnot. And then he went over to Rumble, and he's got a huge following on Rumble. He's got a huge following on X, formerly Twitter. He's got some other big social media followings as well. Well, all of a sudden, there was a coordinated effort between left-wing news outlets here who are nothing more than propaganda pieces, right? And
Yeah.
over in the
Yeah.
UK. This wasn't coming from law enforcement. This was coming from media. And they put this ultimate hit out on this guy where they were showing the newspapers in London. Every paper had the same headline with different in a different variation of the same headline about now Russell Brand and supposed sexual abuse and a sexual assault going back 15, 20 years that were never reported to the police. And then you start seeing women coming out of the woodwork saying, hey, these media outlets called me, but they didn't include any of my stories because I said he was good to me, right? It's funny how they're trying to pick. So this was one of these deep state. I mean, if anybody trusts anything coming from any of the mainstream media outlets, whether that be newspaper, whether that be TV, whether that be internet, any of these things, you really have to do a little bit of homework because you ain't getting any truth from these outlets. I mean, snippets of truth here and there, but these are nothing more than propaganda pieces. And this is why I'm a little, reticent to talk about this because it turns out that YouTube, now he hasn't been charged, he hasn't nothing. Okay, we've lost due process because what they're doing right now is they're trying to assassinate characters. When they can't slow you down or shut you up, they think the best way to do this traditionally is to assassinate your character, right?
Yeah.
So they're trying to say this is an open secret and da da da. Yeah. So they're saying it's an open secret, the whole 9 yards, and they're just worried about the good, you're doing some good here and stopping Russell Brand. No, they need to shut Russell Brand up. So YouTube,
he's got like millions of
here's my point.
followers, doesn't he? Like 5 million followers at least.
That's the problem. That's the problem. So
this is just like the Kavanaugh hearings. Person comes out of nowhere.
Yeah. I want to get my point here, Dan, because I want to make the point on YouTube before we get off of it. Okay, YouTube has demonetized him. They've demonetized him, and he's not been convicted. He's not been tried, and it's automatically assumed that he's guilty until proven innocent. Well, now it comes out because of Rumble, the CEO of Rumble, and the CEO, well, obviously Elon Musk, because individuals from the British Parliament are sending letters to these big outlets like YouTube, Rumble, I think TikTok, Twitter or X, right? Sort of kindly threatening in a way for them to demonetize Russell Brand. This is the whole, and this is going to tie into Ken Paxton. It's going to tie into Trump too. Okay, demonetize him so he has no way of defending himself. Then you see at the same exact time all of his specials, whether they be on British television or American television, are all of a sudden canked. Right? It's a massive hit, all in a matter of 3 or 4 days. Okay, to try to take him down and to make him powerless so he cannot fight back. Well, of course, Rumble, the CEO, said, go pound sand. And here's what they sent me. And Elon Musk says, go pound sand. Here's what they've sent me. And I think to their credit, TikTok did the same thing. So I want you people out there to know. I mean, tell me, have you been following this at all, Dan and Cindy?
Yeah. Yes. They're you hit the nail on the head. It's they're everything now. Every one of their strategies now is the court of public opinion. Make it look so bad that, and just like Trump, and I'm not trying to steal your thunder there, but it's like get everybody's mind made up first, and it's that much harder to get them to see the real deal. And I'm going to commend Russell Brand because his ability to change his opinion in front of the world, just shows he is actually using critical thinking, which in this day and age should be applauded. He realized I maybe was talking out my backside there for a minute. You there, Matt?
Well, yeah, I'm here. I'm trying to respond to people on Rumble at the same time. When you see me doing that, keep talking, okay? So,
okay.
Turn it over to Cindy.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah. So the whole thing here is this is obviously a coordinated effort. You're starting to see, first of all, Great Britain is absolutely a joke of a country. We I'm sure we have some British friends out there. The things that are going on in Great Britain now, people are getting arrested and thrown in jail for praying in front of abortion clinics. People are getting arrested and thrown into jail for saying anything negative about the LGBTQ community. There's no freedom of speech in Great Britain anymore. Okay, and we're losing it here, folks. And this is this is a good time we're going to transition, because I'm going to get off of YouTube right here, because we've got no freedom of speech here on YouTube. This is Google. They partner up with the government. They get money from the government, the whole 9 yards. But yet somehow they're enabled to stamp on our First Amendment rights here in free speech. Isn't it funny? They're trying to say, before we leave, YouTube was trying to say that even though Russell Brand didn't violate any of our policies or anything along those lines, any of our rules, we try to keep it safe for our viewers. And if somebody breaks the law or is involved with criminal activity, we can do. Well, first of all, he hasn't been proven to have broken the law, or it's just an accusation. Okay, but if you contrast that, I heard somebody contrasting this today with Nicki Minaj, who admitted to, prior to her fame, drugging. Apparently, she was a prostitute or something along these lines. This is how she generated money, Nicki Minaj, right? Yeah. I don't know how she's a famous singer today. She's got zero talent. But anyways, she admitted to drugging and robbing her clients, right? Now, she's admitted to criminal activity. Have they demonetized her channel? Have they done that?
No.
That was a great point. I'm trying to remember who said that.
Yeah, too many people to pay money, and yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah, the truth hurt them, and that girl speaks nonsense constantly, whatever topic it is.
The hypocrisy knows no bounds, and the only thing she does is has shock value with her songs, and it's not even really shocking anymore. Is it really shocking with all the other trash that's being put out like that? It's not even shocking. So why? It's beyond me. Obviously, she's pushing the right lifestyle that they want pushed, right? The destructive type of lifestyle. But with this, we are going to get off of YouTube, because do you appreciate YouTube? Do you think it's a good platform? And are you a big Google fan, Dan and Cindy?
I would love to rid my entire. We would love. I am speaking for both of us, but we both agree. If we could get Google completely out of our lives, we'd love it. But boy, oh boy, is that difficult.
It's absolutely difficult, and we've got to start pushing back. It's such a massive entity, right? And for such a massive entity to so blatantly go after people that have a narrative that's different than the narrative they and the deep state want pushed is absolutely amazing. It's absolutely amazing how they're able to get away with this. Here's what I want to tell everybody out there while we're still on YouTube, right? Here's what I want to tell everybody. If you have a content creator that you like, okay, encourage that content creator to go and open a Rumble, an Odysee, or a BitChute account, okay? It seems like Rumble is best prepared to take on YouTube, but we need to get more people over there. And I'm speaking to myself when I say this too, because I still use YouTube quite a bit, right?
Yeah.
We should use Rumble first. And if you can't find it there, then go to YouTube. Use Rumble first. If you can't find it there, then go to YouTube, because Rumble needs support, and we need to start making a change. The power ultimately rests in us, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, and you are not the lone wolf out there. A lot of the other podcasts we frequent, they start on YouTube, and they've been, dinged a million times, but they say exactly what you're saying now. Like,
the only thing is that Rumble needs to up their game on their tech department, is what
a lot of people say.
Well, but see, that's a catch-22, because Rumble is a fraction of the size of YouTube. And when YouTube started back in around 2000, remember YouTube back in like 2005? It was garbage. It was
Yeah, it
absolute
was
garbage.
nothing.
And Russell was way past that at this stage. You know?
Did you see on what was it the other day on Truth? Oh no, on X. On X. Elon Musk
Oh yeah.
said, "What would be the next? What's the next company I should buy for $40 billion?" And I was about to tell him Google.
That's probably low for Google, but YouTube.
Could he buy Google? Could he buy Google for $40 billion?
Or nobody. He was saying, he was just putting a thumb in the eye of the establishment
Oh,
out
shit.
there, saying,
Yeah.
oh shit. Hold on, we bumped the phone.
You
But he was
Okay.
just throwing a tease
Go
out
ahead.
there.
Your forehead looks great, Dan.
Hey,
I know,
baby.
there you go.
I just had it raised earlier today.
Yeah. There you
we
go. So what we're gonna do right now is I'm gonna shit can YouTube right here, and then we can speak freely and get at it. I do want to talk. I want to revisit the Ken Paxton thing. And here's another interesting thing. Just before we leave, Tim Ballard was going to run for Romney's seat in the Senate, and then all of this stuff came out. Interesting, folks. I don't believe any of it. I stand with Tim Ballard. I stand with Russell Brand. I do not believe any of it because of where it's coming from. Okay?
Yeah.
If ultimately any of these things turn out to be true, we reassess. But I don't believe any of it because of where it comes from. And I'm standing with them until proven otherwise. Okay?
They're trying to ruin him.
Period.
Yeah, they absolutely are. They absolutely are. So moving over, let's get her done.
Jump that ship, baby. Did we just